How well does a community take care of itself? According to a recent study, a single pound circulates in the Asian community for 28 days, in Jewish communities for 20 days, in white communities for approximately 17 days, and the black community, 6 hours. This is what we at the Black Wall Street UK desperately want to change. We've developed a unique mobile app called the Black Wall Street UK. This is a business directory for black-owned businesses all across the UK. With the Black Wall Street UK app, you can find any black-owned businesses around you with a tap of a finger. So next time you're searching for a nearby hair product store or a nail shop or an estate agent or any black-owned business or service provider, just do a super quick search on the Black Wall Street UK. Our app allows you to search by business type and location. You can save your favourite businesses, add your own black-owned business, read reviews from other clients and much more. The Black Wall Street UK, the entire UK black community at your fingertips. Free app now available on Apple and Play Store. www.thebblackwallstreetuk.com.
Hey.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, hey, love.
How are you? How's Mum?
Yeah, well, we're fine. We're all good, we're good.
I'm getting so excited for Christmas.
Christmas! I just really hope I can see you lot.
Me too. I cannot stop thinking about Mum's roasties.
Whoa. What about my gravy?
What about your gravy?
Hey, you, what's going down?
Dad, not the song.
Gravy boat's coming to town. It's not any ocean, just take a sip. It's still a bit scrummy and still see bits.
How does Mum put up with you? Your gravy is pretty good, to be fair, and I just really want to be home for it.
So my gravy is the best.
Dad.
Honey, she says my gravy's the best.
Honey, she says my gravy is the best. How we doing, peeps? Thanks for tuning in. We've got a nice little, the house is already start to ram up, man. That's good news, isn't it? That's good news. Thanks for joining me. How we doing, people? How you doing? It's been a rough day. It's been a rough night for everybody. Rants and Bants crew in the house, from what I can see here already. Evening, Julie. How you doing, darling? You're right. Spicy. Denise. Look at it. Denise barling out Julie's name, you know. It's like he's screaming out her name. I scream it out. Boy, so have we fully recovered yet? Wagwan. You know, Wagwan, Dotty Bongo crew, on a nah stop too long. I've company. Oh, you have company tonight. That's all right. I got company too. Kaz. You ain't the only one who's got company, you know. Me have company too. You know what I mean? So how are we doing, man? Are we all recovered from last night? That's what I want to know. Are we all recovered? Because, as you know, I was up all last night chatting with a whole heap of different people. You know what I mean? Mr. McQueen, man. You got the community talking. You got everybody talking. You got everybody. And the thing is, right, is that people are critiquing it and saying that we shouldn't critique it. Come on, man. Surely we should critique it. You know, if you don't hit the mark, you're supposed to let a man know. Not true? Isn't that the only way that we're going to move forward? Yeah? All right, there were certain things missing. There were no black bin liners on the window. Okay! That's when somebody had a party. Remember that? When you had to put the black bin liners, yeah, on the window. That's when you knew, and you would be listening for the music. You're listening for the music and you're looking out for a place that was dark. Yeah? Because that's why them cameras got an extra little view. Because normally you don't see them kind of body movements, right? When Lovers Rock was going on, because the room was dark. You know what I did like though? I like the little elbow touch. Remember the little elbow touch? Did you see that? That little elbow touch. I thought, yes, man, that was a nice little touch they got there. But you know what was missing? Another thing that was missing, the bedroom where the coats go. What about that room? They didn't show us that room. They didn't even go look for the coat. You know when everyone used to throw their coat in the room and then somebody would leave with a leather jacket that wasn't theirs. Remember that? All heap of stuff was missing. All heap of stuff was me. Yeah. Oh, you all right? Black bin liners and corner of the speaker box at the end of the room. Yeah, I know what I'm saying. But it was difficult for the Queen to get it right. Let's give the boy him jewels. Yeah? Give the boy him jewels. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you go to work 5 days a week and you're gonna have a bad day. Allow him his bad day. Allow him his bad day. But at the same time, you lot are right. You lot are right. We should not settle for mediocrity. I agree with that. It's not enough just to say that we're on TV. We got to compete with the Americans. We got to compete with the Africans, yeah? And we can step up. There's nothing wrong with us stepping up, and there's nothing wrong with us setting a standard. Yeah? If a decorator come round to your yard, yeah, you ask him to do your yard, and the yard don't look right, yeah, you're going to tell him, not because you're not a decorator, but because you know what decoration's supposed to look like, yeah? Woi, Rudi, you put on your old party, shut up. Chocolate, I knew you was coming in. I knew you was, what do you mean teeth? They're my teeth. My sister got her fur coat stolen. Who tell her to wear a fur coat? Good evening, Donna. How you doing, babes? How you doing? You're good, darling. Whoa, today, for all those people who do not know, my name is Rudi Lickwood. I'm the host of the Keeping It Real. This show was put together based on me having a couple of rants in the morning. And through the conversation of having those rants, it was suggested that I actually conduct a few interviews. And I thought, yeah, I got a little black book. I know people that I can interview. And everyone went, nah. We don't want you to interview people in your little black book. Yeah, we want you to interview people. And I thought about this and I thought, you know what? Michael Barrymore used to do a thing called Everyday People. Yeah, and we got everyday people, and based on what's going on this year with Black Lives Matter and everything, we discovered that nobody's been telling our stories. Nobody's been telling us. In fact, we've been being labeled. We've been called lazy, even though we built the pyramids. You know what I mean? We've been calling lazy. We've been calling uneducated. We've been called having single parent fathers, mothers who don't care, and I thought it was right. You guys are right. We could put this right. Where's Carl? Why is Rudi chatting so long? Shut up, Antigua. Shut up. Yeah? I'm not bringing in that brother from Newport. Shut up. In fact, he hasn't even turned up, believe it or not. Yeah, electricity don't reach his side yet. Bless up. Right? Rants and bants. Give other people who don't know about the show a chance to understand what I'm going on. So what I've decided to do is people who actually support me, I've decided to interview them. Yeah, and I don't just say everyday people. It just sounds a bit bland to me. But it's people who in our community who we don't really get to see. And if we do get to see them, right, we're not even aware of what they're actually doing. Yeah? So this gentleman who I'm about to introduce now, Antigua, is somebody who regularly came into the room, especially on 15 Minutes with DJ Countryman and Rudi Lickwood on a Saturday morning. And he had a lot to say. Guy can mouth. He's got a lot of mouth, this brother, yeah? So what we'll do is I'll introduce you to him. All right? You'll have a look, see what he's about. Yeah? And then we'll get into conversation. Boy, look at you.
Boy.
Boy.
Nice light show.
Carl, man. How are you doing, Carl?
I'm good.
I'm fine. What I'm very surprised about, yeah, is that I'm already seeing your name come up on my screen. I didn't even mention your name. You must be quite famous where you are.
No, I'm not famous. I wouldn't say I was famous. Sometimes on the poster, on the posters I put up, sometimes they call me a legend, but I don't really accept that. But I know a few people, and I know a few people, and there's a few more people in Wales than you think.
No, I'm sure that Wales is full. I ain't gonna say. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Wales is obviously a full place, but it's not a place where you would ordinarily find African Caribbean people. Is the best way for me to put it. It's not like if people are gonna talk about we're black people, they're automatically gonna say Brixton, Arlesden. You get me? South London. You know what I mean? They're gonna say
Cardiff. They're gonna say Newport, Welsh Valley.
No. Let's keep
we're everywhere.
Let's keep it real. They're not gonna ordinarily say that.
Welsh people
will associate us as being in Londoners. They associate blacks as being in London predominantly. But I'm not saying that's the way it is. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, when your dad came over, what year did your dad come over?
That's a good question. That is 1957, I believe it was.
Whoa! So did him come on the boat? Because that means that he came before the Windrush.
Yeah. So he actually got on the boat. The boat cruised, docked into Spain, and then he came across Europe from Spain and Italy by train. And then he came across into England that way. When he first reached, he arrived and he settled up into the Midlands in the Black Country.
Okay. Because there was a reason why they called it the Black Country, wasn't it?
Yeah, because of the chimneys and smoke and all that with it. Industrial area, wouldn't it? Not because of black people, innit?
That was what I found quite surprising. That used to be one of the jokes that I used to drop straight away. Was that I'm in the Black Country and I can't see the black people. Wagwan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But so he came to the Midlands and then he settled there. So why did he not stay in the Midlands then?
He came on a day trip to South Wales, to Newport actually, one Sunday, and the sun was shining. It was a really nice day. He said there was a lot of rain in the Midlands, so we decided to move to Newport.
Okay, you seem very subdued. You seem very I don't know how to put it, right?
Me.
Yeah.
It's my first interview.
For somebody who's because you're a DJ, right? You're a DJ, if I'm correct, right? In speaking, but the thing about you is that you didn't just become a DJ, from what I understand, yeah, because you got notoriety before that. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, that was that picture. So that picture was me leading the Newport and Gwent Battalion Boys Brigade Band. Very, very proud. I think I was the first black guy to lead the band in Wales, perhaps. And what was funny about that photograph is that I've been looking to put that photograph for a few years. But I started work as an apprentice electrician, and I was in Cardiff. And the apprentice master says to me, "I know you." And I said, "No, you don't know me because I'm from Newport, you're in Cardiff, you don't know me." And the very next day, he brought that photograph in, which he took in Cardiff when I was marching one time. And then he gave it to me. So it was unbelievable. I just couldn't, yeah.
But the thing is that he held on to that because that photograph, as you pointed out, is quite unique in the sense that, I mean, when I look at it, there you are, the only brother, right? I can see there's two other white guys either side of you, So obviously you're standing out like a prune in a bowl of rice pudding, right?
Yeah, at the front I would, wouldn't I?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. At the front, you're gonna be, yeah. And that was like the beginning of Newport sort of like getting to know you, isn't it? It's not something that kind of like stopped there, really.
No, because from the Boys Brigade Band, we'd done lots of carnivals, and I used to lead the Newport Town Carnival, even march on, like I say, Whitsun parades. Used to go to all those things. Yeah, all the parades really, So so then quite a few parades around Newport, around the valleys and stuff like that. So when it came to like the Boys Brigade and bands, and even meeting the other bands, the Scouts and the jazz bands and all the other people, and stuff like that, and then even Remembrance Day parades, then so I did stand out, I suppose. Yeah.
course, because the thing is that the Bassett family, do you know what I mean? Your dad came over 1957. Yeah. He bought his own house, if I'm correct.
Yes, he brought his house. First of all, he was living in, I think it was Alma Street in Pill in Newport, with an Italian family. Strange things he tells me is that when he first moved in there, he was only allowed to use the back door. He was never allowed to use the front door.
Oh my God.
You know, you remember what they all put with those signs, you know, no blacks, no Irish,
no
dogs,
Irish, no dogs.
Dogs, yes. Okay, so he was never allowed to use the front door. And then one day, he said he came home from work and the Italian guy gave him a key to the front door. And my father said he felt so proud that now he can go into the house through the front door. He became friends with that guy, and then it was the Italian guy who actually encouraged him to buy a house, and he bought his house at 22 Watchhouse Parade. And that's where it is.
Most people bought it for about £100 as well. Pounds at those days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
pound, shilling, and pence. No, it was pound. Was it shillings we used to?
Yes, we had shillings. Pound, shillings, and pence.
Yeah, that we used to. But what I really enjoyed was not so much was the parallel of your dad now owning the house, because what your dad Jamaican, isn't he, if I'm correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm Jamaican.
Right. So when he came over and he had a house, right? He actually had a status that was bestowed to him. It wasn't something that he took on, right? Because in my parents are Guyanese, and we had an uncle, and my uncle was one of the elders, and he came over and he bought a house first, and then the rest of the family started coming. And I believe it was a similar situation to yourself, isn't it?
Yes. So my father came, then he sent my mum, and my mum came. They got married in Newport. But when he had the house, we used to have a couple of lodgers. But he also used to have people who would come and stay there for a few weeks before they found their place. And to pay the rent, just like yesterday, we used to have blues parties in the house.
Mind you, though, were they spinning on the floor? Were they doing?
No. Were they doing... nothing like that. Nobody spinning on no floor or kind of rubbish.
Nobody was break dancing.
No.
Nobody was chanting like they were something in the middle of the dance floor.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, what did you think of that show last night? What were your thoughts?
To be perfectly honest, I was disappointed. There was lots of little memories in there and little things that they got right, but there was so much of it which they got wrong. I mean, I've never seen anyone jump on the floor and dance like that in the blues. It just wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't have happened. Even the simple things, no guy with a beaver is going to take off his beaver hat and put down, walk away with it and go, that's not going to happen. It never happened. The DJ thing got me a little bit funny because the deck, with the long spindle, you would never have that. Back in the day, all those decks had
the big holes.
That was it.
You fling on your little 7-inch.
Yes, that's right.
And then you have a little drop in a piece, which you might have to drop on top of the needle.
That's right. Yeah. So there's all that going. Yeah. Oh, so there was a lot of good things in there, which brought back some memories and things like that. But I don't think it was a true reflection of Blues Party. And
the thing is that you would know when it comes to playing music.
Yeah, that was my younger DJing days.
Because the thing is it carried on, didn't it? It actually carried on. It's not like because I mean you play on the radio today, if I'm correct. You do your little Sunday.
I do a little Sunday thing called Sunday Fun Day, which is live on Facebook, on Twitch and YouTube, and a Cambrian radio. So the DJing came from a story from my father told me, was that just after I learned to walk, I had a fascination with the record player. And don't forget, we used to have blues parties in the house. So he showed me how to use the record player when I was very, very small. And that photograph you just showed me with the mic, I was about 10 or 11. We had a new stereo hi-fi. There it is.
Hi-fi, boy. Hi-fi.
Hi-fi. Yes, and then it came with 2 microphones, and I worked out that if I put the 8-track, which people probably don't know what that is, an 8-track tape in, if I pressed play and record and pause, the microphones became live. So I could be at home playing records and DJing, you know, just shouting, yeah, go there, each and every day. That would say.
We have to play.
Yeah.
Time of radio, let we say. Zoom,
Yeah,
zoom,
yeah. So that was me DJing in my home and things like that. Another thing what is big in the music is my father. He owned a record shop in the 70s.
Okay.
So the first black man to own a reggae record shop in Newport. So he done that. It was first in a place called Dolphin Street, and it moved to Alexandra Road. So I used to work there on the weekends on a Saturday, and people would come in, ask for their favorite records, and I would know everything then. Those days, what was in the chart and reggae, then I knew it. And at the same sort of time, I was there was a place called Silver Sands in Newport.
Silver Sands. Now,
the
Silver Sands is a restaurant, if I'm correct.
It's a restaurant, yes. It was a restaurant, but downstairs, the basement, they kept a dance then. So we had a DJ set up and dances there, and that was quite good. And of course, because of my love of music and always interested in music, when my parents used to go to the Silver Sands, then I would just go downstairs and stand right next to the DJ, who was Kensal Seabright. So I would stand there. He would then ask me some tunes to play because I knew all the latest tunes and things like that.
Because of the record shop.
Because of the record shop. And I used to be there. So my friend Mikey Isaac was there, or Sean Seabright, Bodie, and you know. So there was we was all young kids then, but we used to go there, and we all grew up with that music, and it just followed on there from there. Mike Isaacs then had a sound, General Echo, so we played blues. So we used to play blues in Newport and things like that. Moving on.
What was it like growing up then? Because you've got the music and everything, but what was it like actually growing up in Cardiff? You know, as a young boy going to school, what was that like?
Try Newport.
Sorry, Newport. I keep on saying Cardiff.
Yeah.
I think I played in Newport 3 times, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I've actually performed in Newport. Not that I was invited down by yourself. You know what I mean?
That's another story. Yeah. So grew up in school. My early years in school, I went to Alexandra School and came from Pill, like I said, which was a multicultural background people there. But racism and prejudice was hard. You know, it was hard, and I got into lots of fights in school because I wouldn't back down. So somebody would call me a name, and I'd fight. So that was tough. That was tough growing up. And then I think I was about 12 or 13. I decided that I couldn't just fight the world. So then I used my negotiation or just basically ignore it. When I went to my high school, in my school here, there was probably about 300 children, and there was only 4 black guys. Now, that same school now, of course, it's changed a lot. So we did feel alone. So, but the guys above us in the school, everybody in Newport looked out for each other, and that's how we got through it. Even for when I was a teenager going to go to the nightclubs, you know, they wouldn't let you in. But then if the older black guys were there, they would let you in and things like that. But we all looked after together. But what I find is that the place, Newport, the people, the community of Pill, and the people are strong. It's good, and you know, I'm black, I'm British. I was born here. Yes, I'm Welsh, and yes, I got Jamaican ties, so I'm a Welsh Jamaican. But I noticed you don't mind flying the flag when it comes to linking up Jamaica and Wales. Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
When I saw that flag, I was like, right, who made that flag?
Tara. Girl called Tara in Newport, she made the flag, and bit of a famous flag. A lot of people are doing it and seeing it, and we are. I'm proud I'm Welsh. I'm proud I'm got Jamaican roots, and I'm Jamaican. I'm proud from Newport, and yeah, I mean, there's home is home for me, sort of thing. I've had a chance to move away, to go to London and things like that, but I'm happy in where I am, and I just enjoy life.
I'm not surprised that you are happy, because from what you're demonstrating quite clearly is that a warm personality and an open heart and an open mind can get you quite far. I mean, not only was your dad sort of like, from what you've explained to me, not only was your dad, you know, housing and helping people to settle into Cardiff, but he was also walking ladies down the aisle, if I'm correct.
Yes. So when he first came to Jamaica, from Jamaica, there was not a lot of parents here. It was mostly the kids. I mean, my dad was 29 when he came here, and he used to do a lot of things for people. And a master of ceremony is one of them. So he, you know, a few weddings of master of ceremony. He was a few friends. My friends now, best man for their parents' weddings, and a couple of my friends, he actually walked their mother down their aisle to give them away because their fathers wasn't here. And it's funny because a really good friend of mine, Mr. Webb, I always thought with Clifford Webb and his wife Valerie.
Okay.
Only I can't remember. I would say about 2 years ago, maybe I found out, and Valerie found out then is that my father was the best man at her parents' wedding.
Right.
You see, so, and then she showed me a photograph with my father and her father and all this photograph. So, but these things, because they were parents when he was younger, they didn't really talk to us. You know, so I find out more things later on in life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that when it comes to West Indian parents, in terms of how they not all West Indian elder parents emotionally connected with their youngsters. I think because of the way that our history is in a funny kind of a way, and we seem to be different. I find that the Black British youth seem to be different when it comes to that when it comes to that kind of thing. But the thing is that with the reputation that your dad had, I mean, you yourself started to get quite a bit of a reputation, didn't you? I mean, that's that large cash. Yeah, so, I mean, you started getting a reputation, bro. Yeah, you started to become the man around town, right?
That's a good picture. That.
Yeah, it's a fantastic picture. I love it. I love it. It just shows just how well you integrated. You know what I mean? And worked your way around things. I really do. I really do. And then there was one story that you told me, and I'd hope you'll tell it again.
The Ali story.
Yes, sir.
The Ali story. Okay. Goes down the history of probably one of the best days of my life, sort of thing. It was I went to London to watch, I think it was Tim Witherspoon fight Frank Bruno with my guys from London. There was a mix-up, and they didn't get me a ticket, or the one ticket short. So they all went into Wembley to watch the fight. I was outside of Wembley, and Mark gave me his security ID card because he worked for Wembley as security. There was a lot of boys outside there, football guys out there, and somehow I got entangled up with the crowd and broke into Wembley Stadium.
Okay.
So we broke into Wembley Stadium, and when we got in the stadium, we were just running around and trying to get places, and I got caught by the security. They took me to the main entrance, and the security guy was talking to me, and he said, what were you doing? So I showed him the ID badge. Now, my friend Mark, he does not look like me. And the security guy took a real hard look at this security card. And he's looking at me and looking at the card. And I was trying to put on a real straight, serious face to try and look like this guy, Mark. And he said, okay, use your card back. He said, but next time, he said, make sure you book in and out. So from then, I had...
In other words, all Black people look alike.
That's right. That's right. That's what it is. So from there, I just walked everywhere. I went by the dressing rooms and around by the ringside. I got a program. I went up higher up in the tiers to see my friends, to see where they were sitting, to say hello to them, so they knew I was inside. Then I left them at high level, and then I went back down near ringside to watch the fight. But after the fight, we went to a hotel where there was an after party, and it was me and the guys again, and we was waiting around trying to get in. There was a long line to security. So half of the guys, or all of them, went except for me and my cousin, because we traveled together.
Okay.
I was waiting on some stairs, and he said he's going to the toilet. He went to the toilet. As he went to the toilet, some American guys came out of the hall and looked down and see me, and they said, "How you doing, brother?" I went, "I'm fine, man. Yeah, I'm doing, man. I'm fine. Hey." So I started talking to these guys, continued walking up the stairs, and I walked past the security and bouncers as if they didn't exist. I just kept talking to the Americans.
Black people got a lot of front, you know. We've got a lot of front. We've got
a lot of front, yeah.
We've got a lot of front. That takes front.
Yeah. So I just carried on talking to them.
Bypassed them.
Yeah, bypassed them like they wasn't there. I got into the toilet, and I'm thinking, I'm in the toilet. I'm in. So we came out the toilet. I carried on talking to him. I went into the function room, and there he was. There was Ali, Don King, the Spinks brothers, Lloyd Hulligan. There was so many famous boxers in there because of his entourage of Tim Witherspoon. So while I was in the hall, a security guard approached me again and said, "Excuse me, sir." He said, "There's a man outside who says you're his cousin. He wants to come in." I forgot about my cousin. So I looked across and seen him, and I said, "Yes, okay, you can come in." So they let him in. We looked around. We seen Ali, who was sat down, and my cousin said, "I'm going with my camera." Of course, we never had mobile phones or cameras. So he left the party, went back to the car, got a camera, came back to the party. So I walked up to Ali and I said to him, basically, "Can I take your photograph?" Because I just wanted to take a photograph of Muhammad Ali. You know. And Muhammad Ali, suffering from Parkinson's, so he was very, very slow with his speech, very, very slow, which was...
We could see that. We could see
yeah,
that.
you can see it's slow, yeah, sort of blink
that diminishing years, isn't it? That's his
diminishing years. It was hard because when he spoke to me, I was sort of almost like tearful because this is the great Muhammad Ali, and he can hardly speak, you know, very slow. But what he said is, "Why don't you get your friend to take the photograph and you sit down and have a photograph with me?" So that's what we did. So we took that photograph, and then after that photograph, he took one with my cousin. But in that photograph, he had a stance up like that with his fist with my cousin. So he's got a great photograph. So that was a great day. So I went to London. I seen the fight. Didn't cost me a penny. Got to the after party. Met Ali. Still didn't cost me a penny.
Love it. Love it. Love
great
it.
Day.
Now,
great day.
The thing is that you are getting a hell of a lot of response from the room. Yeah. Earlier on, I did put up everybody's name as they were actually saying hello to you. Yeah. So do me a favor and just say a big hello to everybody. Okay.
Yes.
So that they don't feel that you've actually ignored them, because
I haven't ignored them. I'm trying to look at my phone. I can see Trevor, Ruth, Alex, Susan, Gemma, Louise. It's Dominique. There's a lot of our friends there. Yes. Twitch Family TV crew was here. Yes. Summer Sizzler crew was here. Grandos Production, we're all there.
They actually do want you to acknowledge them. And as I said to them, that, you know, it's not easy to multitask and, you know what I mean, respond and talk all at the same time. I mean, because you're a natural DJ, as it said, and everyone in the room is already starting to pick up is that you're a very inspirational person. They're also picking up on they're also picking up, man, your body says loads. They're also picking up that you're a community person, and that's what I love about you, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So that's me and my friend Gary Grant. We put on a Black and Sparkle charity event a few years ago. I think it was about 4 years ago, that one. Yes, and we've done the ball for two charities, for Velindre Hospital in Cardiff, they treated my dad, and for Alzheimer's, and that was for really Gary's wife, his family. So we raised the money and we split up. They had £500 each, or just over £500 each, and it was a good night of entertainment with a comedian, but it wasn't you.
No, it weren't me. It wasn't not me.
It wasn't you.
But don't worry, bro. I ain't complaining. Right? But you're a community guy. You know what I mean? You're there for your community. You know, and you've obviously been rewarded for that.
Yes, I've had a couple of little things for work in the community. I mean, everybody. I mean, I haven't said it yet, but people will tell you that, and everybody knows me and knows my father will always say he brought me up to say, it's nice to be nice. And so I live my life by it's nice to be nice, and I always try and help somebody. I just always say that if I can help somebody, I will, sort of thing, you know. And that's it. And now I like to give back to the community. If I had a DJ right now and we had 500 people in the place, then, you know, if I could do it for free so they haven't got to pay, then that's what I would do.
Well, me now do it for free. Them have to pay. Black people that earn money now. It's not like black people don't earn money. They might earn money now. But them pay.
It's true, but
too much freeness.
But to be honest, over the years, I mean, I've got so many friends, and they've paid so much money over the years to come to my events and do things and stuff like that. So if I do something in a pub and they come in for free, you know, then why not?
I understand. I understand payback. I really do, because these are the boys, aren't they? That's the boys.
That's the boys. Yeah, that's the boys.
Look upon them. Look upon them.
Yeah,
so his foot out, you know, he got his foot out, you know.
Dry foot as well, I think.
At least his heel back don't look dry. That's what.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean, at least his heel back don't look dry. So you've also got a relationship with Colin, haven't you?
Yeah. So Colin Jackson, my mother used to work with his mother, Angela Jackson, in a hospital in Cardiff. My mum was doing nursing, so we had Sundays, special days every now and again. You wouldn't do it every day, every week. We would have a day trip, and we'd go to the Jackson's house in Cardiff. So we'd spend time in there, have some food, and laugh around and joke. So I knew Colin when he was a little boy, sort of thing, you know. So that's what we was doing. So yeah, so I still in contact with Colin and his sister Suzanne as well. And yes, so when people say, you know Colin, yeah, I know Colin. But you know, in his elder years, no, not so much. But we always still got that, maintain that contact and yeah, that friendship.
You see, there's already talk in the room about next dance. We'll book a day trip.
Yes, well,
because that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing that you used to do, if I'm correct.
This year we had a big dance. We had a big dance booked up for this year. We got cancelled for COVID, which we had Countryman lined up to play as well. And so that Countryman. Yes, he was ready to come and play. But yes, but we've done things like that.
The energy that Countryman brings is unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's good.
That's why he got voted DJ of the year. I think 2 times in a row, if I'm correct. And who are these gentlemen?
That's an interesting one. I was on a corporate day out, and we done clay pigeon shooting, and I won the competition. Top shot. Yes.
Now you call it a corporate day out. Yeah.
A corporate day out. Yeah, work. So it was a freebie.
A freebie on who?
From a security company.
From whose company?
It was a security company called Security Centres. They took us to the Vale Hotel, and we done clay pigeon shooting for most of the day, to tell the truth. Okay. Yeah, so I was top gun that day.
Excellent. Because the other thing I enjoy about you is that you've got your own company.
Yes, I've got my own company.
Yeah, tell us about your company, please.
So my company is called DRAC Consulting. We're building services, electrical and mechanical engineers. So we do designs and drawings for like schools, hospitals, offices, anything that needs electric inside the building or heating in the building. That's what we design. Lucky enough, I mean, the business has been going 11 years after I was made redundant. It was started with my 2 bosses at the time, and me and Russell, and the company's called DRAC. And that's Dave, Russell, Alan, and Carl.
Okay.
So that's where the name came from. And then 5 years ago, Alan and Dave, they still work for us now. It's funny now because my boss, I'm his boss now. They still work for us now, part-time. Part-time now.
Big up.
Yeah, that's right. So they've retired, so it just leaves myself and Russell to run the business. We're doing quite well. We still do community work via the business as well, and we employ 14 people. So yeah. So it's been good. It's been good. It's
been excellent, Rob. It's been excellent. Yeah. It's been excellent talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
It's been highly inspirational talking to you. I mean, you've proved from the off, just from your dad and the way that he is that we can work together. You know.
Yeah. I think you're frozen a bit there, Rudi.
Sorry, we can coexist with our Caucasian cousins. Do you know what I mean? You've proved that, bro.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with. Sorry.
I was saying that the area in where we are and people mix and we get on, and yeah, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. You know, kind of. Yeah. It says,
well,
Donna's saying she's well impressed.
You don't
keep
know
going,
how many
Carl.
people are impressed. Because the thing is, this is what I'm saying. It's only now that we're starting to tell our stories. Yeah? When our parents came over, they were either nursing or they were on the bus. Yeah, you get rid of all the black people, all the Asian people in the UK. How are people going to get home? Them now get to them because we run things as far as the transport is concerned. Yeah. But you're showing that we're beyond that. You know, we've moved on. We're now part of the very fabric of the society in which we live in. You know, and that's why it's so depressing to see the response that the Sainsbury's advert got. That people just don't know just how knitted we are in the UK psyche from my point of view anyway. So it's not surprising that you're hearing Julie say, "Well done with your work, Carl."
Yes.
He says we apologize for Countryman. He does get about. because Julie's based in Birmingham. There's quite a few Birmingham people in the room who actually watch the show. And it's great to know that we've got a community in Newport that at some point know that we're going to come down. You know what I mean? We're going to visit. You're going to be playing the music. Do you know what I mean? Make sure we get some good rates, though, when we come down.
Yeah, you get some good rates. Yeah, we get some good rates.
I want a B&B. I want a B&B, see? I want a B&B.
Yeah, I got 2 sofas in my lounge, so you're all right. I got 2 sofas in my lounge.
We will all come and pack up in your house.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Just, what you say, just hold a corner, hold a chair.
All a corner, all a chair, and you're all right. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
but we will do it that way. But we've actually run out of time, and I know that there's lots of different areas that we didn't get to cover. But I knew that time would catch us up, would catch up with us, and I'm hoping that you will stick around. I'm going to talk to my next guest now. Right. And I would like you at least, is there anything that you'd like to say to the room before you go?
Thanks for watching and tuning in, and keep locked on. And don't forget, it's always nice to be nice.
It's nice to be nice. And if they are gonna keep locked on, what do they need to lock on to?
Need to lock on to Rudi Lickwood on his Facebook page. There's a YouTube channel as well. If you go to my Facebook page, I've shared the YouTube link so people can have a look at that. And on my Facebook at the moment, I got a watch party going, so people should be getting that. Okay.
And what if they wanted to tune into you on the radio? How do they do that? How do they? Because like you said, you play on a Sunday.
I play on a Sunday at 12 o'clock until about 2 o'clock. From my Facebook page, I normally start it. But I've got an account on Twitch TV. Just search for DJ Carl Bassett. I'm also on YouTube as Carl Bassett, Mixcloud as Carl Bassett, and Cambrian Radio. There's lots of ways to listen to me on Cambrian Radio. But normally the information is put on my Facebook page, and you can click and link, and you can tune in, listen in, and enjoy the show. Enjoy the family. We've got a nice group of people who just enjoy it, and we just play some sweet reggae music while you're cooking up the pot on a Sunday.
So there you guys, you heard it from Carl himself, right? Sweet reggae music on a Sunday, now. That's when you were gonna catch that brother. So I'm gonna bring him back. I'm gonna bring him back into the room a little bit later on, yeah. But what I'm gonna do is just give me a minute just to sort myself out, yeah. And I'm obviously gonna play. I've got to play it, right? Because I know that this is purging the UK at the moment. This is like giving them their little washout when they need it, you know? Because I was kind of like fed up of the way it was received. But I love it. So give me a minute and I'll be back.
Hey.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, hey, love.
How are you? How's Mum?
Yeah, well, we're fine. We're all good. We're good.
I'm getting so excited for Christmas.
Christmas! I just really hope I can see you lot.
Me too. I cannot stop thinking about Mum's roasties.
Whoa. What about my gravy?
What about your gravy?
Hey, you, what's going down?
Dad, not the song.
Gravy boat's coming in town. It's not any old ship, just take a sip. It's filled with scrummy and saucy bits.
How does Mum put up with you? Your gravy is pretty good, to be fair, and I just really want to be home for it.
So my gravy is the best.
Dad.
Honey, she says my gravy's the best. Honey.
Well, she might have said that his gravy was the best, yeah. But I know there was people who was moaning because they never saw no thyme in the gravy, or they never saw no onions in the gravy. Yes, Spice, you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The little moans that was happening because there was no seasoning in the gravy. Yeah, but there was seasoning in the gravy, so we got to chill out. We got to relax. We got to relax on that one. I've got another guest for you guys. Yeah. It's just so coincidence. It's such a coincidence that last week when I was talking to Heather Hamilton, when she ended her interview, she started to talk to us about how we're supposed to save, and she was talking to us about how we should pay off our debts and the different ways she went about paying off debts and all that kind of thing. And I thought that I would actually share. I thought it was important for me to share at this stage because I got involved in a financial scheme that left me in a perilous situation. And the next guest that I want to bring on was somebody who helped me out of that situation. He's very high up in what he does. All right. And because he's so very high up in what he does, if you do want to get in touch with him, right, you will need to get in touch with me. That's the only way that it can happen. I mean, when I actually put his details and his name and stuff, so as that you guys could see it, but because of the protocol that he has to go through, it's not possible to explain exactly what he did on my behalf. But trust me, I was in a financial hole. Yeah, and I'm now clear of that hole, and it's all down to the guy that I'm gonna bring on and introduce to you and have a little chat with. Yeah, so if you do want to get in touch with him, all right, get in touch with me, right, and I will just forward your details across to him. All right, and we're talking about over 6 figures of debt. Yeah. So understand I'm now 10% up on the debt that I had before. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of intelligent people who can work the maths out on that one. Right. So with that said, do not ask no questions about the finance. All right. Come in, I want to get the brother in a trouble. Yeah. And I don't want anybody to feel that I'm giving out misinformation, because I'm not. All right. It's a personal experience that I've had, and it's proved very, very fruitful for me, and I would like it to be fruitful for you guys. But I think the most important thing is to understand who this individual is, and where he's coming from, and what he's about. So allow me to introduce him to you. Leighton time.
Good evening and blessings.
You hear what him say? Good evening, and him say blessings. So I hope everybody got that. You know, brother said good evening. And you know, the first thing that I have to draw everybody's attention to, right? Yeah. And it is. Hold on. This. Because that is what you call the perfect afro. That's the perfect afro, my friend.
Let me just tell you, that picture is going to illustrate my vintage. So you can probably work out who was looking like that at what particular time. And yeah, let's be quite honest about it. An afro was a badge of honor. And I was proud of mine. It only changed when I decided to follow Michael Jackson and get the wet look, but that's another story.
Oh no! You didn't set your hair alight by any chance, did you?
No, fortunately, and I wasn't doing an advert for Pepsi either. But the story behind that is a family friend used to be the proprietor of what I reckon was probably the biggest West Indian or black hair salon in London, and that was Splinters. So my godmother, the owner of Splinters, was her brother. So that lady on the left. So that picture there is my godmother on the left and my actual mother on the right. So I remember going to Splinters because I worked there during the sixth form, the summer holidays. He invited me to do some work. So I was working in the office, doing the accounts and so on and so forth. And that was my introduction, if you like, to finance and business and all that type of thing. Which
so that's when you got involved into figures and stuff like that. That when you actually went into Splinters.
Well, yeah. I mean, my choice of subjects at school was government and politics, economics, and French, and it seemed a natural sort of progression to get some. You know, when you talk about experience of industry, and he was a family friend who said, come along and, try and help out. And it opened my eyes to a completely different environment because...
Yeah, but you talk about going to school, yeah? Because you did not go to comprehensive school, did you?
No. I mean, if I cast my mind back, what happened is, you go to junior school, and junior school is all about all the kids who live locally to you, local kids, local school, local streets and whatever. And then you get to the day of reckoning, which is the what used to be known as the 11 plus. Yeah, the 11 plus. And the 11 plus was basically, if you passed, you actually had the opportunity to go to a grammar school. And if you didn't have that choice. Fortunately for me, having been kicked from pillar to post by my parents, I passed 11 plus, and I had the opportunity to go to what was my first school, which was Battersea Gramma, which is down in South London. And that was quite an interesting experience because I moved from an environment where there were lots of kids who looked like me, same color, and then I went to my school, and there were 3 forms in each year, 30 kids in each year. And of the 90 kids, I was the only black kid in the year. So the second year...
That means that you are now a target. You're a target.
Well,
and it's not even necessarily because kids are hateful. It's just that if you've got big ears, or you've got big feet, or you're taller than everybody else, or you wear glasses, you are going to become a target.
Yeah, and if I cast my mind back, there were, and I remember everybody's names, of course. there were 2 black kids in the second year, George and Colin. There was a guy called, his surname was Henry. He was in the 3rd year. He had an older brother in the 4th year. I think there was another black kid in the 5th year. Now, bearing in mind, there were 90 kids in each year. I've just described 5 school years, and there are 6 black kids. And this is in...
Would you say that's a fair representation of the fact that we're only like 3% of the population?
Well, I mean, it's fair in one regard. I think it was... Yeah, arguably it's representative, but the point about the particular school was that it was even more, I don't know, rarefied, if you like. It's probably even more exaggerated. And that was tough. I talk about myself. I was a black kid. I remember an Asian kid. I remember a Chinese kid. And we were definitely what's called today the minority. Because that's just what it was, But the whole ethos of a grammar school was, if you were bright enough, you were in. And working class kids. I mean, let's be quite honest about it. I mean, my parents came over from Jamaica in the early 60s.
So you're Jamaican. Okay.
Yeah. So let's be quite honest about it. They didn't have the means to put me through a private school education. So the only thing I did know is study your book and work hard. And if you're past 11 plus, then you've got some options. And that was drummed into me from the very first day of school life, and that continued throughout, So managing to achieve that was great. And what it meant is it put me into a different environment, if you like. Totally. Yeah, and I won't say I left people behind, because I don't mean that. What I mean is that
man, you left them behind.
No, but you see,
because, come on, man, you're going to a grammar school, yeah. You're coming back, yeah. Now you've got to navigate the streets, right? And this new language that you obviously had to adjust to, yeah, because the vernacular has all changed. Do you know what I mean? It's not deliberate that you leave people behind. It's growth.
No, look, the bottom line was, I used to put on my school uniform on a daily basis, and what that meant was, just the way the approach was at the school. The uniform, keep your tie on. That what you've just flashed up there is my old school, and one of the things that they were really proud of was they had a old boys association, because people kept the affinity with the school, and that represents all the old boys. I think the Americans call it alumni. Yeah, that was almost like a badge of honor. So what that meant is, one of the big things at school was playing sport, and sport meant football, cricket, cross country, all sorts of things. And we competed against other schools because competition was encouraged. It wasn't seen as a dirty word back then. But what that meant also,
it was that was one of the days when winning did matter. It's not
taking part and getting a medal is all well and good, but let's be quite honest about it. As soon as you move out of school into the real world, what you understand is there are winners and losers. That's the way it is. You could actually go back to Darwin and evolution, and there will be people who will move on from the herd. That's not being nasty. That's reality. And one of the things that happened at school from a very early age is you were taught it's judged by results. And, you learn that lesson and you take it into later life, because when you get into the workplace, how do you distinguish yourself from anybody else? Well, what it boils down to often is, is this one better? Do they perform better? What are the criteria? And and that was instilled very early on. You know, we had a system at school where we had a house system. That blazer that you just showed there earlier, you know, I was in a house, and, you know, there were 6 houses in the school, and there was a competition throughout the year. And at the end of the year, the top house won the prize, and it was very important. And, you know, the criteria was theatre, drama, art, sport, all sorts of things like that. And that continued. And yeah, you know, you started to get a bit tribal. It started to generate a few rivalries. But having said that, we were all under the umbrella of the school. And those relationships, which started when we were 11, even today now, still exist, because I'm still in touch with guys I went to school with. And, you know, we meet up because we're all old gits now. So we can't run around the place anymore.
Yeah, but you weren't always an old git. Come on, man.
No, you see. So, okay, so that this particular image is, I'm sure loads of people have got something like that when they were particularly young.
I had an anorak like that. That was called an anorak, as I remember.
Yeah, of course it was. Well, you see, that's myself and my siblings, and they won't thank me for showing this, but there we are. So that's basically us just round the corner from the family home, and this is us a little bit older now. So we have grown up, and thankfully, I think we look reasonably decent. But
shut up about reasonably. Yeah, so, look what the guy does. He plays bloody golf, right? He's talking about recently. We've been pretty good.
Well, the golf is a lot of fun. I could talk about Tiger Woods forever, but that's another story. But all golf is a particular sport that you can take as you get older, and you can actually improve. There's not many things that you can improve as you get older.
Golf is the white ball saying that, look how much land we control. That's what golf
is. No, absolutely. And it is a mesmerizing curse on my life, because I'm constantly trying to improve. So you end up beating yourself up because you didn't do as well as you did last time, and you know you're convinced you can do better the next time around. But that's why it's quite addictive, really.
I can imagine, because the thing is that sport has played it's brought that competitive spirit out in you, and you take it very seriously, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, this is an image of me doing my karate, and the whole reason the karate started is that my daughter was, as far as I was concerned, when she was younger, far too friendly and nice to people. And I was concerned that maybe she ought to learn a little bit of self-defense. So I started taking her to karate when she was about 4, maybe. So kind of broke the rules, because I think the threshold was 5. But anyway, so I take her along to karate, and I'm sitting there, as is typical of most parents, watching the kids, supervising, making sure everything was doing okay. And eventually I got roped into it. She got to a particular age and stage, probably 12 or 13, when netball and hockey were far more attractive. But the old man continued. And I've just continued ever since. So I've been doing karate for, it's got to be 20 years. It's got to be 20 years, and you know, slowly moving up the ladder.
What do you mean slowly? You're a black bloody belt, mate.
Yeah, I'm a black belt, but you know, there's a few rungs on the ladder. You know, I'm a student.
I don't like it when people are humble. I hate it when people are humble. I hate it.
Well, Wow, that's been a while.
I'm gonna bring Carl back into the room. You right, Carl?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm good.
You see him I play around with knife? That boy there?
Oh, him? Yeah, see him. Yes. I didn't know you was bringing a dangerous man in the room.
Yes, man.
Let me just emphasize, it's always controlled, and that actual sword is blunt.
It didn't sound blunt to me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I heard it whizzing through the air a minute ago. All I can hear is...
Yeah. That's if it's blunt, it's worse, isn't it? Because that means you got stab a man. And
well,
they keep chopping.
If anybody follows the ethos of martial arts, you know it starts with self-defense. And we can talk about Karate Kid and Cobra Kai and all of these things. So you think about Daniel's son and Mr. Miyagi, but it's about defense.
Because your sport is actually what's it called? Tang Sangdo, is that right?
Tang Sudo, yeah. Tang Sudo. It's a derivative of karate from Korea. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I must admit, bro, it was very impressive. I mean, that's your sport. Whoa. I had an image of you, Carl, dressed. I don't know what I done with it. It was you actually wearing. What was you doing? There you go.
Good old days, yes. Good old days.
That was your thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. See, I keep mentioning on my show. I keep mentioning this guy called Clifford Webb, and he got me into that too. So I left school. I was funny enough, I was doing a martial art, and then Clifford said to me, "Do you want to try American football?" And of course, being from Wales, American football. No. Rugby, American football, you wear pads and all that. And it was all stuff. He's always talk like that, You're not a man if you wear pads to play a tough contact sport. So I tried it and really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'm the type of person that if I get into something, then that's it. I got to give it 150%. So I ended up playing. I ended up being defensive captain. I ended up winning awards with it, and I ended up being the head coach of the team at the end, by the time we finished and wrapped up. But it was a great sport. It was a really good sport.
And what I like about it, it's funny because the both of you have parallels in that respect. That you were the head when it came to sport at your school, if I'm correct, Leighton.
Yeah, I mean, I was reasonably decent at sport, so qualified for the cross-country running, football, cricket, captained those teams. And then going back to the school, what happened is there was an old boys association and they played football on a Saturday afternoon. So I ended up playing school football in the morning for the school and then playing afternoons for the old boys, which was adult football. So you play against 15, 16-year-olds in the morning, and then you're playing up against man with beard in the afternoon. And that was interesting because, of course, we were quick and fast, and we're the young whippersnappers. And if you can imagine, to use the vernacular, no old Brock wants to see them get skinned by a youngster. So it became, competitive, shall we say. And I did that. I did that for years, and it was a very high standard of football. In fact, there's a lot of guys who emerged from that who went on to play semi-professional, some even professional football, So there's one particular guy I remember who I was playing alongside at school, who then, when we were in the sixth form, he left school and went off and became a professional, joined what was Fulham at the time with, what was his name? Malcolm MacDonald. And then he went on from there. He was at QPR. He was at West Ham. I always thought I was better than him, but clearly I was misguided. But that was the standard of football. So that football and those relationships have endured for decades since. And as I was saying, part of the reason for the golf is because we can't run around the pitch anymore. So we compete playing golf. Yeah. So you know, I'm playing football. I'm playing golf with guys who I went to school with back in the 70s and 80s. And some of the society that I play with, you know, some of the guys actually went to the school in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're still trotting out.
Can I ask? So these connections that you've got, considering that it was grammar school that you actually went to, I mean, what are the true benefits of that?
Well, I think essentially it was, you know, I'm not going to get all cosmic and political now, but grammar schools were invented.
I don't care if you do. I really don't.
But you see, grammar schools were the bridge between comprehensive schools and private schools. That's the long and short of it. You know, if you think about the cost of private school, and there's plenty of people I know who gone down that path. I actually did with my daughter, but it's a lot of money. But what grammar schools did is they gave any bright kid from a, let's be honest, working class background the chance to get an education. And the key to that was then moving on into tertiary education, which would have been college or an HND or university or something.
Because there was an advantage that you had when you got your HND, if I'm correct.
Yeah, because you see, what happened with me is I had a place at Nottingham University, but I didn't take the place. What happened is I got seduced by, I'm sorry to say this, my 30 pieces. Yeah, my 30 pieces of silver, because I'd started at school. I was responsible. I was considered, well, I suppose fairly highly regarded. So I was a bit of a leader at school. I ended up becoming a prefect. I then got invited to become a youth worker. So I was working within the school as a youth worker. And youth work was quite interesting because I look back at it now, but it actually opened my eyes to the provision that was necessary, because not every kid came from the same home environment as me. So I was doing that in the youth club, and the youth club pretty much was a pool table, some table tennis, using the gym, and you know, that's right, yeah.
It was the pool table, it was the bar football, it was the table tennis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you see,
you were lucky and you had a basketball court. There was a basketball court.
Yeah, and we took advantage of all of that. But what happened with me was that I had the chance to do what was called outreach or detached youth work. So that meant me moving out of the so-called comfort zone, if you like, and working on some local housing estates down in Wandsworth. So, as I say, I grew up in South London. So if anybody knows Wandsworth, I was down by the Arndale Centre.
Hold on. Sorry to cut you. Denise said that she thought that he was going to be seduced by a woman.
That's later.
Yeah.
I was only 17 or 18 or 19 at the time. Give me a chance.
Really? You want a
So I ended up working at Henry Prince, Wendellsworth, and Brocklebank estates, and I was working also down at Tooting Broadway. So you think about the arcades and all. So all the guys, them, I suppose you describe them now as roadmen. Yeah.
Yeah, they are road.
That's who I was working with.
Because this is the thing about my show. Sorry to cut you. This is the thing about my show, yeah, is that we tend to celebrate the roadman. We tend to celebrate him. We don't celebrate guys like you, the both of you.
Well,
right? We don't, because it's all about going to the dance and all them kind of thing there. and that's where the status is given. But when you look further along the road of life, yeah, it's not a great achievement to be able to take a bottle of champagne and pour it on the floor. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
By the way,
you know,
I've done that.
I've had. Sorry to cut you. I've done nearly 18 shows so far. They've predominantly been a lot of ladies who've come onto this show, and they've had similar, not the same, similar experience to you. The only difference is that a lot of them have had to go and study afterwards or after work, blah blah blah. Yeah, but we're never hearing about you guys. Yeah, you never kind of like stood out in that way.
Listen, I didn't have much choice growing up. You know, my parents were fairly black and white, which is maybe something that we have lost over the years. You know, my father was a policeman back in Jamaica. Okay. So that's code for he was quite strict. Yeah. Correct. I've manners, I've discipline. Yeah. My mother worked in the local hospital, which is St. George's, and she was a midwife there. And those two in combination kept us on a very short leash. But the only thing they ever said to us was this: listen, education is free in this country. Take advantage.
That's what my mum used to say.
Yeah, study your book. Study your book. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what that meant was that you didn't get a squeeze in that regard. Study your book, and when you finish that, maybe you can go outside and ramp with your friends. So that was just the rules, you know. The way my school was set up, every single day you got homework, the little book used to come home, and your parents had to sign the book to say that they'd seen you complete the homework, and they had to sign it. Wow. That was good. That was going on in the 70s. Yeah. So of course, that's what I'm accustomed to.
Was that standard in your house as well, Carl? Because you was a bad boy. You look like a bad boy. Was that standard in your house?
No. When you reach Jamaica, you do what the locals do. You know, blend in with the string vest. That's what happens, isn't it? But no, I mean, the standard was schoolwork and things like that, and that had to be done, and housework and chores.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
do you think? So then, gentlemen, do you think we're letting our children off the hook?
Okay, let me repeat some of the conversations I have, because unfortunately there's a few images of me which thankfully I haven't shared this evening, of me at home with a dustpan and brush and a vacuum cleaner. The Kirby. If anybody remember the Kirby?
Yeah, I remember the Kirby.
Right, okay. It was a local.
The Kirby. We used to have to use dustpan and brush. That's how.
Yeah. We never had Kirby. We never had Kirby.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because there was a particular friend at school. Her father was the local representative for Kirby, so naturally he gravitated towards the local black people in the community, and of course, we had one. But the point I'm making is that you had to do what you're told to do at home. So yes, tidy your room, clean the kitchen, do this, do that. My old man had me.
I'm hearing
correct. Yeah, my old man.
Yes,
that's right. My old man had me washing the car. I never drove the car, but he had me washing the car because that was just what you did. And it wasn't a conversation. You didn't have a choice about it. Those were just the teachings and what was the expectation. So, of course, what's happened is that we've got a little bit softer, and maybe we've diluted that message.
I think we have. Yeah. I honestly think we have. I mean, we've got so many white goods now. Yeah, we've got so much technology now.
Technology, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the point of technology, is to create less work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And by the way, that's called progress.
Yeah,
that's called progress. You know,
one of my chores used to be to make the coal fire. Yeah,
okay.
Get up in the morning and make the coal fire.
That's the coal buckaroo boy.
Yeah, that's right. So the coal cellar was under the stairs, and then you have to make the coal fire. And funny, I seen an image on
stairs. All right.
At the end of the stairs, yeah. So to make the coal fire, and I seen an image today on some social media. And who can remember this? And what it was the image of a coal fire, with someone stood there with a sheet of newspaper across the fire above, and then they should do that to get the fire to take. And my father used to do that. He wouldn't let me do that, but yeah, that was my job. Make the coal fire in the morning. First thing, gets up, make the fire.
It's funny you say that. I remember one of the first times I was in Jamaica, and we were in the country. We're from a particular parish in Jamaica, Trelawney, and what happened was that the water wasn't running properly at home. So myself, my brother, we'd actually managed to hire a car, and we used to get up in the morning and drive to the standpipe to collect the water, to bring it. Yeah, okay. So that simply meant that's what you had to do. So it translated quite easily.
Yeah, but them used to have to get up like 6 or 5 in the morning to go and fetch that water. For us, it was a bit of fun. But for them, because we were only there for like 6 weeks, for them, it was regular. And then we had to go and take the sheep out. Go feed the cow and feed the fowl. Go feed the fowl with the coconut. Yes. Yeah. So that all that does is illustrate quite how lucky you were to be over here, because you didn't have anything like that to do. All we had to do was get out of bed, get dressed, have breakfast, and go to school. All of that was a couple of hours before you even set off for school. So one of the biggest eye-openers was the difference in life between Jamaica, where we're from, and England. So, I can recall my aunties and uncles being pretty convinced my mother had spoiled us as children because we come from England. So one of the important things was to try and demonstrate, actually, no, we do know how to press our shirts and keep our pants.
Press, wash, clean, cook, everything.
That's right. I'll never forget.
What I would actually like to talk about is the way you guys take leisure time now.
Okay.
I mean, both of you tend to, you've worked hard,
Oh, hello. Yeah, that's me. That's me celebrating my wife's birthday in Mozambique. I think that was. Yeah. So, we decided. Listen, the world is small. Enjoy and travel the world, and being open-minded is the only thing I ask of anybody. There's so many different cultures and traditions that you can appreciate and take advantage of. So we made a decision. We're not going to just trot down the road. That's the first anniversary up in that's a London Eye, actually, as it happens. But so we travel any chance we get. And, there's a few places on the bucket list still, but, Africa, Asia, Caribbean, quite obviously. Even Europe.
Don't forget to mention the wife who is a Trini,
Well, yeah. So you see this here now, being a Londoner and a Jamaican, I thought Carnival was Notting Hill Carnival. Until she, so then when she carried me to Trini Carnival, I was like, "What?" Because I'd never seen such vivid colors and just the vibe, and it was incredible. It was incredible.
It's historic, though. It's also historic.
Yeah,
your history is being laid out in front of you from when the pirates arrived. You get me?
Okay.
They actually tell you a story. I remember when I got off one of the cruise ships and was in Trinidad. The water was disgusting, though. It was black. It was full of oil. There was so much money out there, right? Even though it ain't going into their pockets, right? But it was amazing. I just sat on the wall and I just watched guys. I just watched, and I could see the whole history being played out in front of me in terms of what took place in Trinidad itself. But then the thing is that, Carl, I mean, you have your part, you have your getaways and what have you. I mean, tell us a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more.
Funny enough, that was another corporate day out. We went sailing in a yacht, a racing yacht, out into from Cardiff Bay across to Western Supermare. So it was a good day. We were just on there, basically drinking, eating, sailing. And what was good, it was a training yacht, so we had to try various things. So I actually steered or drive the boat. So I was there. Yeah, so I steered that thing for I don't know, must be about 45 minutes an hour. So yeah, it was interesting. Good, it was good. Yeah, so that's it.
It's lovely. It's actually just lovely to watch, you know, because now when I hear of my parents talking about going on holiday, they don't go on holiday, you know. They just go back to do more work.
That's right.
It's just more work them I do. Them I take things for other people. I mean, this is you, isn't it, Leighton? This is you. This
was a balloon trip in Luxor or Egypt a few years back.
Egypt.
Yeah. And Egypt is listen, Egypt, if you see this image here? That image is of when the balloon lands, these are the people who pull you down to the ground. But the interesting story about that, of course, is that field that we landed in, the owner of the land demanded a ransom payment from the balloon proprietor because we landed on his land without permission. So that's how everybody makes a little bit of change when they're out in Egypt. But no, Egypt, if you think about us as a race of people, you think about the intelligence and where, however many thousands of years ago, Egypt was the foremost civilization in the world.
Egypt was the baby. Egypt was the baby of
absolutely.
Africa produced.
Absolutely. So,
as opposed to saying north, we have to say south. If you're going to talk about the real map and everything, it was coming from the south and it was coming up to Egypt, and Egypt was but the baby of what Africa had achieved before the Europeans and Napoleon came along and blew off the nose of the Sphinx. Yeah. So
I remember being called, as a black man, going down to meet the locals or the natives, if you like, and they said to me, "Nubian," and I'm looking at them thinking, because he held me in a particular regard, and that, exactly, and that in itself, you know, that's why we have to understand what our heritage is. We need to understand who we are and where we've come from, because we go back centuries. And we need to be proud of that, and not forget that.
And let's understand the nature of the African, because you had an experience, right?
Oh, okay, all right. So this image is Nelson Mandela's prison cell on Robben Island in Cape Town. And when we traveled there, you could still go into the prison where Nelson Mandela was captivated for 27 years. And that's the size of the room. It was 9 feet by 9 feet. And prisoner 5446, everybody knows the song track. That's where he was. That's where they kept him. And that was a very moving experience for me, because everybody in the world knows who Nelson Mandela was, and everybody knows what he stood for. The unfairness, the injustice, the lack of civil rights, and his determination to overcome and pretty much change society within South Africa.
He changed the world.
And consequently, that movement engendered the catalyst for change, as you quite rightly say, globally. So that was, for me, I won't say bucket list, but I had to do that. You know, it was, and still is, you know,
but
a
tell
reminder.
them about the story when you went to the coach.
Well, okay. So some of you will be familiar with when you go on an excursion abroad, you might be going to a particular destination and there'll be a coach taking you. So what you do, you get on the coach and you got your designated seat, and that's it for the day. You just get on that seat and away you go. So we set off, myself and my wife, and we're sitting in our seats. We stop off for a comfort break or whatever else it was. And then we rock up at Robben Island. So at Robben Island, the people who show you around the facility, if you like, are actually people who were previously, alongside Mandela, incarcerated within the prison. So they are talking from their own lived experience. And unsurprisingly, they get very emotional when they're recalling the memories of Mandela, but also how they were treated, because that just was the way it was back then. So anyway, we've been shown around, we've taken a few photos, and we head back to our coach. And when we turn up at our seats, there's a couple of people in our seats. So Carol looks at me, I look back at her, and it's like, oh, hang on, are we on the wrong coach? I went like, no, this is number 3. I'm sure this is the right place. And what you've got to understand is that Robben Island is a huge tourist attraction. So you've got people from all over the world. You've got Germans, French, Australians, English, of course, Americans. But also what you have are the Boers, B-O-E-R-S. And they are the Dutch. Now, they fundamentally were the masters, shall we say, back in the day. And they were probably the ones who perpetuated apartheid. Yeah. So what happened was that we rock up and they're in our seats. Now,
come on, me see, man.
Yeah, that was Carol's expression, and
that's my attitude.
They said no. Anybody can sit wherever they like, and she, before I even got a chance, kicked off and simply said, "Listen, are you seriously telling me here at Robben Island, bearing in mind where we are with Nelson Mandela, you're trying to pull that card on me?" And they flushed red, which is what they quite often do, and shuffled off into the darkness where they belonged. And we obviously resumed our seats. But that just struck me as an indicator that maybe the progress isn't as deep as it should be. But that also told me to take pause and understand that it's not embedded yet. We've still got a long way to go. Our history, heritage, belief system, we have to continue to promote, because otherwise what happens is...
I'm going to even push it a little bit further on this, because it's good for me to sit down with two self-made men. It really is. And the both of you have received awards for the works that you've done within the community as well as within your industry. But I mean, Leighton, you reached a level, you reached a point where you were at an award ceremony, right?
Yes.
And you know, you got the car. Obviously, you're going to get stopped, right? I'm sure you've been through that enough times.
Yeah. Well, as it happens, so the story was I was a very young 23-year-old. I applied for my first job out of college, and it was for a large multinational company based in Cambridge. And as I say, I'm South London born and bred. So I've applied for this job. And as I subsequently discovered, there were 900 applicants for 4 jobs as graduate trainees. And I got one of the jobs. So clearly I was delighted, particularly as I didn't have a degree. All I had was a diploma in marketing and business studies. So I got one of the 4 jobs. When we rocked up the first day at head office, one of the perks of the job is you got a brand new company car. Unfortunately, I hadn't passed my driving test. So the other 3 guys, they got their company car keys, and all I got was a British Rail ticket from King's Cross to Cambridge. Yeah, and that's right. Yeah. So the problem was, of course, part of the program. There's an induction program which lasted 9 months. So you were driving up and down the country to various locations and sites within the company's structure. Me, however, I had to navigate trains and bed and breakfast and all that type of thing. And I hadn't quite organized my expense account. So trust me, it was bed and breakfast as opposed to a hotel. But having started reasonably well, within 2 years, I'd managed to become Salesman of the Year. Now, what happened when I started is that as a trainee, my first company car was a white Vauxhall Astra Estate, DRAC. When I was given my patch, which was Essex, given that I live in London, my patch was Essex, Suffolk, and part of Norfolk. One of the conditions of the job was you had to live on site or within your territory. When I qualified, I then got a Vauxhall Cavalier. And if anybody remembers Lenny Henry way back in the day, that was known as the Vauxhall Wicked, right? And then I had a really, really good year, and I was awarded Salesman of the Year. And what that came with was a new car. So I went from a Vauxhall Cavalier to a Mercedes 190E, which, given I was only 22, 23, I suppose the expression is I was flossing the car and things were looking nice. Yeah, that's right. Now, also, the firm I work for, we were in mobile communications. So I got my first mobile phone way back in 90.
You had a brick. That's what you had.
The one that I had was actually installed in the car, connected to the car battery.
I remember those were still bricks.
Yeah, they were bricks, particularly if you left them switched on because the car didn't start in the morning. But but the night I got awarded Salesman of the Year, never forget it. National meeting, everybody went up to Buxton, Coronation Street. We're on the set of Coronation Street. It was all that type of thing. And there would have been, I don't know, 300 or 400 people in the room. And I remember being revealed as the Salesman of the Year, and the sales director, never forget it, short chap, mustache, Ian Guthrie, his name was. And he said, right, congratulations, Dawkins. But what we've done, we've got a specially designed small steering wheel for him. So when he gets pulled over by the police, they can fit the handcuffs on him quite easily.
Ooh.
You hear that? You hear that? You hear that?
What?
You hear that? You hear that?
Yeah.
So no matter how high you fly, no matter how far you go.
Yeah. Now that was 1980. So I think about this. That'd be 87, 88.
Mm.
And I was awarded Salesman of the Year. And there must have been 70 or 80 salespeople back then.
Yeah.
And that type of comment was normal. Yeah, that's the type of thing we've been fighting for. Yeah, so I remember that because it became very much motivation for me. Because what I realized was that actually, Leighton, it doesn't matter how good or how well you're doing, someone else is always going to make a judgment as to how far they think you should go or how far you should fly. So I was struggling because what happened was, in a sales environment, it's very simple. It's judged by results. You know, if you do the numbers, you earn the money. But I knew that that didn't work. The politics in most companies it's a huge issue. Did I go to the right school? Am I a member of the right club? Do I network in the same places? And listen, I'm a South Londoner and a black South Londoner. That was never going to happen. So what happened to me was that I thought I was doing okay. As I said, I was 23, driving a Mercedes, and I was earning reasonable money. But I got introduced to
what he call reasonable is like
big things. Big things.
But you see, it's always going to be relative. And the reason why I say that is because I got introduced to a guy a little bit later who was less than a year older than me, married with 2 kids and 1 on the way. And he was driving a 911 Porsche. And he wasn't 25 yet. And I looked at him and I said to him, "Sir, how can you do that?" And he said, "Well, I work for myself."
Here we go. Big up, Carl. Big up, Carl.
Hey, I have got a Porsche, you know.
That's right. But that's when I found out what being self-employed was. And I cast my mind back, and it's a message that I try and drum into anybody that I know, particularly the youngsters.
Okay.
Yeah, the youngsters, my daughter. And I say to people, listen, the only way you're going to succeed in this country is become a professional or work for yourself. And I say that and I mean that because the only person who's going to pay me my value is me. Yeah. So that illustration, that is my daughter who has graduated from Loughborough. She's got her undergrad. She's got her master's. She's gone the traditional route as far as I am concerned. But ultimately, I'm always going to urge her, listen, one day, do your own thing. And that's the one thing which I think the younger generation, they're a little bit, our parents turned up and our parents were surviving. Yeah, our parents were making sure that they were preserving what they had and they could try and give us a step up on the ladder. Us lot who've been here born in this country in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we've got our that's right. And we've got our own children. You know, we need to encourage the kids to.
Now we're grandparents now.
That's right. Well, you might be. Yeah. So
we need early, rude boy.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you a story.
I don't belong with these two.
No. You see, I could tell you a story as to why I was prevented from doing that. You remember me saying that my mother used to be a nurse, right? Well, my mother was a midwife at the local hospital. So you can imagine when we were, shall we say, teenagers, no girl who came across my mother's department at the hospital was there for any other reason that she might have been expecting or maybe having a child. So clearly, as a young, upstanding gentleman, I couldn't possibly associate with a girl who might well be having a child.
Bring on the
So my mother, that's right. So my mother, probably without any thought behind it, was a fantastic, shall we call it, goalkeeper. Don't go there. Don't bring any pick-me home, and don't bring any belly home, and don't bring the police to my door. Those are the simple teachings.
Simple rules. Don't bring trouble home at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That image is that my mother's the one in the middle. That was her becoming ordained as a minister. Because obviously Caribbean, they know the Bible.
Wow.
Raised in the church.
So you got church and police.
Yeah. So you know where I'm coming from. There's not a lot of wriggle room. Yeah. Not a lot of wriggle room.
So you didn't go to Blues then?
I didn't say that.
Both of you did. Both of you did.
Yeah.
And the thing is, gentlemen, I would love. You know what? I've actually run over. A lot of the room will tell you quite easily that I've run over. I've done 1 hour and 45 minutes, and ordinarily I do an hour. Right.
Okay.
I would push it to about.
All right.
I would normally push it to about.
Leighton can chat though, isn't it?
I know me one, you know. I know me one, you know.
It's the both of you who have so much to say, but I think the main thing is that it just goes to show. People say we're all the good black men, right? We don't see them, we don't know them. You know what I mean? Them all a dotted dog, yeah. And I'd like to think that you guys reflect that we're not. You know, I'd like to think that you've shown that there are, and there's quite a lot of you out there, because it's just that our stories have not been told. We've been labelled and they've been told for us on our behalf. It's a shame what happened with Lovers Rock last night.
Yeah,
it's a shame, but it's the beginning of us telling our stories. You know, this platform is the beginning of us starting to tell our stories. You know, and it really was a pleasure having the both of you here. And I really would like to think that people would take advantage of you. I really do. Would you know?
Advantage? What do you mean?
I'm kind of, well, in a positive way, in terms of what you in terms of what you both have to offer. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you can't talk to Leighton over this platform.
My name is Leighton.
Sorry, Leighton. You can't. I said Leighton because he's the Leighton King. He's somebody else, right?
Yeah, he's your neighbour.
You can't talk to Leighton over this platform. It's just his work will just not permit it. Okay.
I just to illustrate what I'm a regulated individual who has to operate under certain compliance restraints. So this is not a platform that I can engage in directly, but as Rudi might have said earlier on in the show, if what I've said is of any interest, then direct that through him, and then we can liaise directly on a one-to-one, if that's acceptable.
Sorry about that. This kid actually just recently, he plays football in America, and they recently won their league or the cup, if I'm correct. And he's another gentleman I'm quite proud of, by the name of Trevor White. He actually works with a lot of youngsters, and he trains them in football, is what they do. But they actually instill more than that in terms of the way in which they offer the discipline that's required for a young man to grow up. You know, they help single parent mothers when they're struggling with the child and that, and the men kind of like gather around. You know, when they say it takes a village. Yeah, it's a sort of thing that Trevor does. I'm waiting on Trevor to get his backdrop though. He hasn't replied. Right.
Like we say, you know, it's each one teach one, isn't it? Like we say, each one teach one.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I mean, look what your dad did for the community. You know, people came over, they stayed at the house. You know what I mean? He walked females up the aisle because their parents wasn't there. You know what I mean? That came down into you. You know what I mean? And then the community started to gravitate towards you because of the ethos that your dad had. The upbringing of Leighton's parents has been a reflection of what he's turned out to be. You know, I mean, I'm just a jester. I'm very much aware of that. But the jester always has the ear to the king. He's the only guy who can get away with saying certain things, right? So I play fool to catch wise. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that I really did invite you guys onto the platform. I mean, to tell your stories. You know.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Put some pride back into who we are and what we've genuinely achieved, and it's been it's been shielded. We've been unable to see it, you know. And that hard work is the key. Education is the way to unlock it. You know, self-employment and doing for self, as you've both proven, right, is in actual fact the way to go. And it's something that we talk about in the Rants and Bants room most mornings, about, you know, what our kids are doing and what should we be encouraging them to do, you know. And just having you two here is proof that can happen.
What's quite funny is that what Leighton was saying, there was a lot of similarities into his life with mine. I mean, for instance, when I was how old was I? I think I was 18. My brother-in-law decided to move to London with my sister and get married, and he handed me a mobile disco business. He actually came to, you know, so that's how the DJ started. But like you, he came to the house, he gave me the business. He said, here's the bookings, here's the keys, the business is yours. I had all the pre-bookings. He'd taken deposits. He's written to everybody, told them that it was going to be me. That was it, the Carl Bassett Roadshow. So I must have been the only black person who had a mobile disco business, and I couldn't drive. So, mobile DJ. So I had to get a guy to drive me around so I could do my own business.
Listen, I can take that a stage further. I can take that a stage further. My start date at the company was December the 1st. I failed the driving test, the second one, on the Friday before. I then managed to wangle another test later on that month, failed that again. So I'm now into December, and I moved into January, and I failed the first test in January, managed to pass later on that month. And the firm I worked for was called Philips, Dutch firm. And we went on a company trip. Yes, you probably had a fridge or a microwave. That's right, absolutely. So we went on a company trip on a ferry to Zeebrugge in Eindhoven. And I remember it was very choppy water. We got back and I got a phone call the following afternoon to say, your company car is available to be collected from the car and transport department. And this was down in Beddington Lane, somewhere down in Croydon. And I remember picking up the car keys, and now I've got my brand new company car, and I've driven home, which is only about half an hour away, and then decided I'm going across to East London to go and visit, shall we say, a young lady. And I ended up crashing the car, being in an accident on the first day I picked up the company car. That was interesting.
Yes, I can imagine.
That's for another day. But that's when I discovered. That's when I discovered what insurance meant. That's when I discovered never admit liability, and that's when I also discovered somebody trying to rinse me because they knew it was a company car. They knew I was as green as grass, and that was interesting. I learned a few lessons that day.
Well, on that note, I have to bring a close to this. This little of ours. It's been really enjoyable to sit down and talk to you. Thank you very much.
Likewise.
Would you like to say? Is there any final words you'd like to say to everybody who's passing through before you go? I'll start with you. I will start with you, Carl.
With me. It's been enjoyable. I've like I say, it's probably the first time ever I've really spoke about myself. Because even though I do lots of things in the community and DJs and that, I keep myself quite private, really. I use my social media to promote whatever business or whatever I'm doing.
You don't know how hard it was for me to drag him out, you know. I keep dragging him out. I'm not talking about that.
No, not talking about that, you know. So it's I think a few people have probably heard some things today which they've never heard. I noticed a couple of my school friends from my junior school, like Carl Hale was there.
Okay.
Which
all right.
He knows about stuff like that because then he was there with me, and they're still good friends now. And besides, we both got the same name. And so you'll probably know about my upgoing from my primary school to junior school to high school, and you've seen me there. So it's been fun. It has been fun. I was a bit nervous, I'll be perfectly honest. This is probably a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm thinking, what am I going to ask me now? But it's been good. So I'd like to say thank you for everybody who locked in and listened, and hope they all enjoyed it. It was good fun for me. And thank you to everyone.
Carl, I'd echo what Carl says. I think that Mr. Lickwood twisted my arm and said to me, "Don't worry about it. You'll be fine."
Every minute I get phone calls.
And I'm sitting there overthinking it, because what I don't want to do is cross any boundaries, and because I'm bound by various bits and pieces. But I have to say, it's just been like talking to some friends. It's like a fireside chat, and talking to you, just reminiscing about the things that probably we've all got, the common ground, the memories, the way we were brought up, why that was important, and what that's done to kind of, ground you or mold you into who you are. And I hope I like to think that hasn't changed too much. I can try and pass that on, or pass that forward, if you like. So that's been fantastic. So thank you for the platform, and I genuinely mean that, Rudi. I mean, social media. Listen, you might notice I'm trying to bow my head. There's a bit of grey hair in there. This is not something that I historically have ever done. I'm being told by the youngsters that this is the way forward. But no, thank you. And I say that genuinely, and I mean that wholeheartedly. It's been the first, and you never know, it may well happen again in the future. But thank you for the chance just to be me, really, and talk a little bit about myself. Yeah,
I hear you. That's all right, bro. No worries, man. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was two gentlemen that I hold in very, 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 very high esteem. And it was difficult to get them to come out and open up to you guys. As Leighton said, one for regulations, Carl, because Carl is a very humble person. And I was trying to explain to them on several occasions, you're not showing off, you're just telling us it as it is. This show is called Just Keep It Real. And that's all I really want you to do. Just come out and just tell us your stories. Women find it a lot easier because they converse a lot more with one another. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. And trust me when I say to you, it will be beneficial to you, even if you have a conversation with Leighton. It'll be very, very, very beneficial for you. At least you'll know where you stand, and you can find that out for yourself. Basically, anybody who's interested. Okay, so all that remains for me to say is, guys in the room, please do not leave. Okay, I will be playing a few promos for people who are new to the platform. If you're not new to the platform, you can go about your business, go sleep, get ready for next week Sunday. You get me? And lower your expectations, right? And give Mr. Queen a little bit of leeway. Give him a little bit of leeway. Okay, so for those who don't know, I do rants and bants on a Monday and a Wednesday. Okay, I have a new format on a Friday where my rants and bants crew, a couple of them will be joining me on the platform in the morning alongside Aston. Okay, Aston Metafa Jones. Okay, well, we will do a weekly roundup about what's going on. Obviously, the big topic is going to be Lovers Rock, without a shadow of a doubt. I guess it's also going to show its face on Wednesday, where we have the Anything Goes podcast with myself, DJ Countryman, Shoe Doctor, and of course, Peter Terry, where dilemmas and quandaries are set by the comments. Okay, we have forfeits. Apparently, the forfeit is going to be someone's going to have to squelch someone's underpants. Right, they're going to have to wash it out. So join in on that. That's good. It is an adult show. It's after 10 o'clock. It's after the watershed. So if you're easily offended, please turn up. Please come along. Please come along. Right. And if you're into quizzes and you're into a bit of a laugh and a joke, then join me on Saturday mornings. All right. That's 15 minutes with DJ Countryman and Rudi Lickwood. So in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do, I'm obviously going to have to play it. Right. Because like I said, it's a cleansing. It's a cleansing for some people. All right. So check out what I do. All right. I'm not all chat, but check out what I do. And hopefully I will see some of you guys next week for this show. And hopefully the rest of you I'll catch on Wednesday morning and then Wednesday evening, for 10 o'clock. All right. And then we'll take it there before we get over to the weekend. So in the meanwhile, all I can say to you guys is bye. Watch my trailers. They're good. I've got a time making them. They're good. I forgot to mention something. That is next week's show, okay? I forgot to mention next Monday's show, where I will have Freddy Krueger, who's coming out with a new horror film. He's a filmmaker. So tune into that, yeah? And I'll also have a lady who's got very, 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 very high ambitions. She's going to be worth listening to. But anyway, watch the promos. And I'm waiting for a red flag there.
Rudy, just ignore it, Rudy. Ignore it.
Hold up. You just set me up.
So, Denise Francis. Remember what? 3 more questions. Come on, people. 3 more questions. Remember, there's one of Peter CDs them up for grabs for the best question.
Jodeci, H-Town, Blackstreet, biggest tracks.
Okay.
He's a yardie. He struggles with the English language. Apparently, he has a certificate in English.
Liz, transparency.
Yeah, transparency. That
Define.
covers everything. Loyal, faithful.
The whole tiny paper drop in the tiny. What you gonna do?
I must say, first of all, those who are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to YouTube, our Anything Goes YouTube podcast. And then when we go live, you get the notification straight away. All right?
And red card, remember red card.
Heaven is between a woman's legs as far as I'm concerned.
Come on, Rudy, man.
No, right there. Heaven. And then pick you to bed.
Rudy,
and I get
time. Gone.
Rudy,
let's have a proper show.
The forfeit is going to be someone's going to have to clean somebody's underpants. Yes.
15 minutes with DJ Countryman and Rudi Lickwood, Saturday morning mayhem with 2 entertainment heavyweight. Join them with interviews.
Like, people are learning more on Facebook than they learn at school these days. So.
When I leave the room, you cannot say yes. You
Comedy
cannot say no.
and
I'll
quizzes.
Child support money for you or something.
No chance of that, Babs.
Oh, no chance. Take it off from me.
You take away your baby, mother.
Oh my God. Don't feel bad, Anthony, though, because
I don't.
The milkman took her as well. The milkman did take her as well.
And
Julie, do your best, Julie. You ready, Julie?
I am indeed.
said I am indeed twice.
Oh, I didn't.
Hey, this is why nobody responds to your complaints at ITV. this is why. This is ITV and Ofcom headquarters.
Hello. Hi. Hello. He said hi twice. Goodbye. He said hi 3 times.
You gone.
Sound the
He's gone, man. He's gone. I hand the friendship in it because you know how they like their chicken soup and their chicken foot and all.
But that's where you come from, Rudy.
15 minutes with DJ Countryman and Rudi Lickwood mornings. Now I'll be the same again.
Incredible!
It's me.
Oh, hey, love.
How are you? How's Mum?
Yeah, well, we're fine. We're all good. We're good.
I'm getting so excited for Christmas.
Christmas! I just really hope I can see you lot.
Me too. I cannot stop thinking about Mum's roasties.
Whoa. What about my gravy?
What about your gravy?
Hey, you, what's going down?
Dad, not the song.
Gravy boat's coming to town. It's not any ocean, just take a sip. It's still a bit scrummy and still say bits.
How does Mum put up with you? Your gravy is pretty good, to be fair, and I just really want to be home for it.
So my gravy is the best.
Dad.
Honey, she says my gravy's the best. Honey.